What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for life, coming at you on YouTube, and today I've got some football focus. All off season, as Pittsburgh is in the OTAs and camp and all that fun stuff, I have been doing the roster breakdowns, where I'm going position by position and breaking down the Steelers roster this year versus their roster last year and seeing whether we've gotten better, gotten worse, or stayed the same. And so far, I've done the inside linebacking group, I've done the cornerback group, and just right before I recorded this video, I did the wide receiver group. So I've been talking about the good versus bad versus push from last year's roster, this year's roster, taking into account free agency, all the guys we've signed, all the guys we've lost, and all the guys we've drafted, and what we've seen from them so far. Today I want to go over another one, so if you want to see the inside linebacker, the cornerbacks, the wide receivers, or the Cam Sutton signing, all of those videos are on my channel within the last 2 weeks. Go check those out. Today we're talking about Pittsburgh Steelers defensive line, and while the roster is going to look more similar than most of our other positions on this channel, and I said I wouldn't do a lot of the ones that are obviously similar because there's been no change, this is one of the most interesting positions for me on the entire team. Pittsburgh has always been known in their glory years and kind of with their identity as being that steel curtain, right? The physical front seven, the linebackers and the D-line getting pressure, getting push in the backfield, dominating at the line of scrimmage. Pittsburgh has been known for that for years, and for the past several years, we have been really, really bad in that spot. So I wanted to look at kind of where the roster is this year versus last year, and I will say to begin with, I don't see any losses from last year on this roster. Pittsburgh do not let anybody else go, in my opinion. There might have been one or two very small names. I don't think we lost any big names from our D-line from last year to this year, but we did add 2 more names to make this roster a little interesting. I'm going to read you guys the 9 names we currently have on the D-line at all 3 spots, left end, right end, and D-tackle, on this roster. We have Cam Hayward, Larry Ogunjobi, Keanu Benton, Dean Lowry, DeMarvin Leal, Isaiah Loudermilk, Montravius Adams, Braden Fehoko, and Logan Lee. We have 9 guys. Now, generally, you're not going to keep any less than 6. You want your 3 starters and 3 backups. You're not going to keep usually more than 8. 8 kind of seems like a stretch. 7 is the sweet spot, but I think the last 2 years or so, we kept 8 guys, so 8 are possible. So we're probably not going to keep all 9. I don't see us keeping 9 of them. We're probably going to lose at least 1, if not 2 of the guys on this list. But looking at this list, we have all of the guys from last year, didn't lose anybody. We gained 2 new names, and that is Dean Lowry, that came from the Green Bay Packers, and I think also played a year for the Vikings as well. Played successfully for the Green Bay Packers for several years. I did the video on him when he got signed. And also Iowa's D-tackle / D-end, Logan Lee, our 6th-round draft pick this year. And the people didn't seem very high on that pick when we got him. I actually think he was a pretty solid value pick for round 6. I like the tape that I saw on him. He's definitely small. He's definitely a project. But the dude's got some quickness. I like his hand placement. I like that he gets to the quarterback. He is a good run stuffer and an underrated pass rusher. And he's got some stats as far as batted balls, as far as run stuffs, overall tackles, solo tackles, couple sacks. The dude can make some plays. So looking at this line now, there's probably more storylines on this D-line than there are in most other spots on this team. You're coming in with your starters, Cam Hayward, Larry Ogunjobi, and Keanu Benton. Number 1, we're going to see a bit improvement because Keanu Benton should come in day 1 as the starter. Pittsburgh has this thing about making their rookies earn their spots and making them kind of come in on the bench no matter how high they're picked or how high their pedigree is or what they're expected to be. They kind of always start on the bench. So, never mind the fact that Montravius Adams was just playing kind of average last year. He's a very solid player. He's a good guy you want on your roster. Good bench guy, good depth guy, can make the occasional plays, can get you out of a stadium, can make some starts at a decent NFL level. But I think Benton was always meant to be better than that, but he didn't start until later in the season. He played very well in his rookie year in spite of his limited reps. I think he's going to come in as a day 1 starter alongside Ogunjobi and Cam here. And I think he is. The only question about him is going to be, does he stay inside where he was last year and kind of be your traditional nose tackle guy? Or does he bump outside to replace one of the other guys you have? Because Cam Hayward is very close to retirement. He is still producing at his older age, but he is slowing down. He's getting a little more banged up. He's not going to be here much longer. We love Cam. He's a Steeler Hall of Famer. He's still playing very well, but he's not going to last much longer. I could dare say there's a good chance this is his last season here in Pittsburgh. And also, this is the last year on the deal for Larry Ogunjobi. He came in for the past 2 contracts. He got extended for the past 2 years, and he's been solid, but he's only staying because his contract is not super high. He's not playing at the level you would think for a high contracted guy. He's been solid, but he's not been outstanding. He's been good, but not entirely consistent, and he's been banged up a little bit. So do they bump out Benton to one of the outside spots to kind of be the next Cam, or kind of help Cam into his final season by being the new Ogunjobi? Do you do that, or do you keep him on the inside? I personally keep him on the inside as your kind of future superstar nose tackle, because you've got Dean Lowry now. This is your big addition. Dean Lowry is a Pittsburgh Steeler guy through and through, a big physical, guy who loves contact, who can do a bit of everything. He's not a superstar by any means, but he is a durable, reliable, physical guy. He can bat balls. He can tackle in the run game. He can pressure the quarterback. He's got really good strength. His technique is solid. His speed, while not super impressive, is underrated. I think Dean Lowry could be one of the better bench D linemen in the league, and I think that he winds up filling in for either if Ogunjobi gets hurt or Cam gets hurt, or they're not producing anymore because of their advanced age. Dean Lowry comes in as a starter and is instantly a trustworthy guy who you feel like is a solid NFL player. He did it for 5 years in Green Bay? The dude is really, really good. And as long as he can stay healthy, he comes in as your best 6th man off the bench, so to speak, right? I like him a lot. And then you've got some really interesting backups here. You've got 5 guys fighting for definitely 3, maybe 4 spots. There's going to be 1, maybe 2 odd men out here, and that is Leal, Loudermilk, Adams, Fehoko, and Logan Lee. I think Adams is your clear backup D tackle behind Benton, if you keep Benton inside, because he's been a solid Steeler starter. Say that 3 times fast. For the past 3 seasons, he's been getting some batted balls. He's decent in the run game. He's not affecting a lot of change, though. We're getting pushed around up front, especially when Cam goes down with injury, because there are not many game breakers out there. You've got Ogunjobi, who's solid. You've got Montravis Adams, who's solid. You had Fehoko, who came in toward the end of last year. I like him a lot as a backup / 3rd string D tackle. Really solid guy, played well for the Chargers when he played there. But these guys aren't going to affect change. As a guy like a Benton could be a game wrecker, a guy who could push the line back and make plays in the backfield, get tackles for a loss, get the team off the field on 3rd down and short. You need guys like that, where I think, Cam and Ogunjobi, when healthy, are those guys. Benton and I think Dean Lowry are those guys. You got 4 guys you really trust there when they're on the field. The other guys you're not quite sure of. Adams I like a lot as a solid backup D tackle. Him and Fehoko could be battling for that backup D tackle spot. And then you've got Leal, Loudermilk, and Logan Lee. Bunch of L's there. And Leal was drafted 4 years ago as the in the 3rd round to kind of be what Cam Hayward, the next Cam Hayward, kind of to be in the spot that Keanu Benton is now, and he regressed big time last year. He had a decent start in his first year, played okay but nothing special, didn't stand out in his second year, was supposed to break out last year and had his worst season by far, just kind of faded away and was on the bench because Isaiah Loudermilk played better. And Loudermilk's another one of these guys that he's a really good run stuffer. He's good against the run teams. You want him in the game against Baltimore, Cleveland, teams like that are going to try to pound the ball on you. But in the passing game, he's just not agile enough or have enough technique as a pass rusher. But he's a solid guy like an Adams who can be a good run stuffer and be a consistent player that's not going to kill you. He might not push your line back or do anything amazing out there, but he's not going to make bad plays and he's going to be consistently solid. And then you have Logan Lee, who, again, is an undersized guy. I'd say if they're going to cut one guy off this roster, Logan Lee is probably the most sure of those guys. Fehoko would be the other one. I could see them coming in with their 7 guys. But again, nothing against Fehoko, and I think Logan Lee, if he could impress in preseason, that could further complicate things because Loudermilk has already outplayed Leal, and people seem to think Loudermilk could step up here. He's a big frame guy, big physically imposing guy who seems to have gotten bigger this offseason. People expect him to take a step forward like they expected Leao to do last year. So we'll see what happens there. But Fehoko has always played decent when he's been in there. We did lose Armand Watts. That is the guy we lost. So Fehoko, who was signed at the same time Watts was last year, is now coming in to do what Watts was going to do last year. Be your 2/3D tackle, your extra backup guy. And I think Fehoko is a more well-rounded player, even though Watts is a better pass rusher of the two. I think Fehoko is good on the ground game. So I would say overall, because you only lost one backup D tackle and you added a really fast project in the draft and you added Dean Lowry, who is a proven NFL guy, I'm going to say slight improvement. It's almost a push. If I had to say this is last year's defensive line, this might be this year's. Right just above the line. Almost exactly the same because we lost one guy and added two, but the two guys we added, I like Logan Lee, not sure what to really expect, but I think the addition of Dean Lowry, who was a borderline, I'd say Pro Bowl player, but a very solid, consistent starter, I think he bumps them up from the push to the slightly improved. So that is my take on the defensive line. What do you think about Leao? It's his last chance. Is he going to stand out? It's Loudermilk's second to last year. Is he going to make that big jump? What do you think of Dean Lowry? Does Logan Lee or Braden Fehoko have a chance of making this roster? And what do you do with Keanu Benton? Do you put him on the outside or keep him on the inside? What do you guys think? Answer those questions below. Please comment and like, share, and subscribe if you like these Steeler Deep Dive videos. Check out the other ones. Check out this one. And I will be doing some more position breakdowns and some key preseason battles coming up on this channel. So stay tuned, and I'll see you guys soon. Go Steelers.